This morning, I was touched because I slept very late. We started with visiting the lady called Nelly, where we stayed, her farm on 2 acres. And I was asking how much money she makes on 2 acres. What's the cost of running that farm versus the hotel? And she told me some very interesting figures that many of us educated don't earn that money. She told me her story, how she left National Water and settled here because she saw an opportunity. She told me a liter of milk, how much it costs here, because in place it's 500 shillings. She told me what it costs in Busia. So I was just doing. And then suddenly, the Honorable Fonoyeri puts me in the car and we go to his place and we climbed this rock and we stood there. And I suddenly woke up. I felt re-energized. And I was reminded of a story that happened in the year 1594. So many of you who I have interacted with know I like history because there's nothing new in the world. Nothing. Every generation applies itself to a situation differently, but the world doesn't change. We change. So in 1594, in a country called Mexico, there was a kingdom called the Aztec Kingdom or Empire. And they were living, a majority of them half naked, but seated on a product called yellow dust. So yellow dust, the Aztecs used to call it the excrement of the gods. So yellow dust is gold. Among the Aztecs, they thought that this gold is just yellow dust excreted by the gods in the night. So suddenly, there came a Spanish man called Cortez. Hernan Cortez. Don't worry about the names. Just catch the gist of the story. And they saw him every morning collecting yellow dust in a bag. Every early morning. And then from Cortez, they received another 10 Spanish people. Then 30. Early morning, they are all collecting and disappearing. So, the Aztecs said, "You man, come here, tell us. You must be foolish. What did you do with this excrement of the gods, yellow dust? It has no value." And then he said, Aztec people, this yellow dust has a medicine that cures the hearts. Europeans have been sick. They suffer from smallpox. When we collect this, they said, this is medicine. Take everything. Take. We don't need it. When you are seated on gold and you don't know that it is gold and you call it yellow dust, foreigners, other people come and take it willingly. You heard the chairman say, this Muzungu really did us bad. Syllabus. No, he was not meant to do you good. He meant to take what you don't know and give you back what he has produced. There's a man called Lugard who colonized Nigeria, Uganda, and Malawi. He taught himself Luganda. So when he was trying to defeat Mwanga and Kabalega here in Dokolo, he told Kakungulu Smail, bw'otuuka mu bakabaka bano gye tugenda ng'ovudde e Galilaya, bw'osanga kabaka kyatuddeko nga takiraba, ekyo kikyo. Bw'osanga kabaka ng'alina amaaso ng'alaba ng'agakanudde akulaba, muveeko agenda kukuleetera ebizibu. Meaning that when people's eyes are closed, what they don't see becomes useless. Now, I'm telling you this story because I was very touched. And I want to thank you people of Bukedi and Tororo specifically, and your leader, my brother Ofonoyeri, for doing, for those of us who read and understand history, sometimes we sound foolish to many people, but it's because we know a little bit more. You know, when you know a little bit more, you have a burden. You don't sleep. When someone doesn't know, they just walk about. What I saw this morning very quickly reminded me of the London Technology Convention that happened in 1855. Europeans were trying to move to technology. They were displaying electricity. It was a big thing. It was an exhibition brought all over the world. What I saw here was an exhibition of a transition of a community to something of higher value, but people around it don't see the neighborhood example to know that's how you build agriculture. So I want you to clap for him. And if, my brother, people have not visited you, then you should go and encourage people to come and see this research I've seen in almost everything, because that's how a country grows. Huh? So, very quickly, when you have certain factors in a country that are changing, one of them is land is getting smaller. Land, God creates no more. Those who are reclaiming land from the oceans, now they also have problems, as you know, in Europe. But those of us who live by the rivers and swamps and are destroying them, eventually we destroy ourselves. Because we stop the rain, we stop all the nature things God gave us. So if land is getting smaller and at the same time population is increasing, if you are a leader, you ask yourself, so Yeri, I'm sorry, I keep using your example. So if I am Yeri and my father left a piece of land, me who is here today, what will I leave for the next generation? Because even if you have 4 children, each of the children will produce another 4. And while the idea is that we should live in cities, cities should be planned in such a way that they are fed by the rural areas. Or we will import food. So population increase, register that, and land is getting smaller. Number 2, if there is limited use of fertilizers and extension services, because many countries that have developed, they augment production by using fertilizers and extension services. And this morning, we saw a natural way to create some of these fertilizers so that we don't have to import NPK. We have to be ingenious as leaders and try these solutions at a household level so that you are not a leader who lives in a community, but you don't demonstrate wisdom on how people use the limited resources they have to expand their capacity. You know the meaning between words between capacity and capability? Capacity ge manyi, capability ge kalimagezi. Because you can have a huge capacity like Africa, but your magezi is very limited. I used yellow dust because I'm not saying people are taking things from Tororo, but people are taking raw materials from our country. People are destroying the things that we would use to add value, and they return plastics. They return chemicals. They return things which we can produce. So the work we are embarking on is to say, can we not start some change on the new economy we need to create? So, and if education is not yet highly based on technical skilling, the chairman mentioned it, our education still puts a lot of premium on degrees and diplomas. No problem with degrees and diplomas. But a degree and diploma person will maybe design something, but he will not repair your car unless there are no other jobs. Also, the people who make the cars we drive, all the cars we drive, are all primary 7 and senior 3s in Germany and Japan. They don't need to go to university to produce the cars they sell to you. They simply get skilling and they take their emyoga or omoga or talent or vocation and multiply it and create a business out of it. Last night I told the leaders that I was a very proud young boy. I was the first to go to university, first to start a business. My elder brothers and sisters were removed. There was no UPE. This UPE which we pass our eye through, many of us were grazing goats and doing all other things, not seeing a blackboard. My parents removed those 2 so I could continue. And so when I got to university, I thought I had arrived and I am now going to be an ambassador or a commissioner, some important person in government. So I compete for a scholarship. I go to do a master's degree. The first session, my teacher is a diploma holder. And the pride in me said, no, togenda kunsomesa. I know more than you. This lady says, you are a very proud boy. Come. On Saturday, come see my office. I go and see her office, the size of where we are seated. She had 2 computers. She had like 3 workers, but she was the richest woman in the city of Cardiff in Britain. I said, what? How do you become rich with a diploma? I thought that you have to be a big man. You know, the big man mentality we have in Africa is part of the dangerous culture we need to end. So for me, when they call me titles, I feel kind of embarrassed, because how come we have too many titles and we have less production? So if you call me chairman or honorable or excellency, I should reflect that honorability and excellence, right? So I was telling people yesterday, again, that we have had 62 years and so many ministers of agriculture. We have never sold a single kilo of beef in Britain, which colonized us. Why? But excellencies are there, honorables are there, commissioners are there. That entrepreneurship, we've not encouraged it. We have thought that the best way to become successful is either to join a government, and there is a reason for that. I don't want to belabor the point. I explained this to the leaders yesterday. Buli Chintu China history. There is where that comes from. But when you have limited awareness on enterprise, yet the enterprise is the one that pays taxes that give you fuel. Because we have 2 million taxpayers in 45 million people of Uganda. When you have that limited awareness of entrepreneurship, you need to know there is a problem. Now, number 5, if politics and governance has more young people with limited experience on how to build a country. Many of you are getting older. Politics has a lot of young people. Just check how many members of parliament are below 40. Check how many LC5 chairmen are below 40. The country is very young. Being young doesn't mean bad leadership. Being young simply means that we are still excitable and we are not able to learn to get our country, our districts out of the situation they are in. Because I'm not an old man, I'm not a young man. But there are a few things that excite me. I have moved from excitement to a burden. Now, if you want to know that a district or an institution or a country is struggling, you meet burdenless leaders. What's a burden? Omugugu. What do I want to change? What's a burden in our local language here? It is so job. Chizibu. Okay, because we're Bakedi, it's different, okay? But you understand what I mean. A burden is omugugu. You are carrying something on your heart for your community, for your population, for your country. That burden does not let you sleep. But some people occupy chairs, but they are burdenless. The burden is, how do I secure the next MPship? That's not enough, because we've had many MPs in the last 62 years, but we don't change. So our politics that has a lot of young people is a thing you need to think about. So when you have those things I have mentioned, what do you do? For me, I think the first port of call is you go to this place. You heard the chairman, what's that? Akatale. You heard the chairman say, Audrey Kruabogo will help us. Now, I just want to give you a little bit of warning. All those things are good, but they are good to the extent that this thing determines what you get paid. That's why thinking like an entrepreneur is very, very important. Anything you engage in, go to where? So what we have done, just as an example, is to say, but there is a global market where Uganda trades. But Uganda is trading like a cat stepping slowly in the dark. Nobody knows Uganda has arrived. You know, when a country has arrived in another country's market, you feel it. So last year we went to DRC, and just before we went, our neighbors had chartered 2 aircrafts. They had put their businessmen, their MPs, their government ministers, their bankers, and they arrived and they took over the whole hotel. And they took over the media. And the Congolese were saying, Kenya has arrived. So I phoned our people, and this is not, because we're East Africa, I don't compete with our brothers. We are both pygmies in the world. But some pygmies have better hands or better face than others. So our people were going to go quietly after Kenya has left. And they were going, Commissioner for Veterinary. No problem with Commissioner for Veterinary. Principal research officer. They are all government people, right? So I said, so governments will always be there. Where are your business people? So I went and convinced the president. I said, you're going to help us. We'll also charter Uganda Airlines. and fill it up. And when we land with our cameras in Goma. That's not to say that we were the same rank or competing with the other people, but we were telling the market, nafe tutuse, so that you listen to our business people, so that we can sign some deals. Because that's how a country grows. The market gives us some important things. First, it tells us that you only incentivize that which has a higher value. So imagine I give incentive to millet, to peas, to cassava, to chickens, to cows. I have lost priority. I need all of them for food. I need all of them for variety. But the higher value that I must incentivize is the one the market has told me gives me better price. Please, I don't have time. Think about that. If you wake up every day and you don't have something of the higher value you are taking to the market, either as a professional skill, because when you fall sick, you'll try to find a doctor. When they steal your land, you find a lawyer. When you want to survey your land, you find who? But you, who they are taking money from, if you want to make a phone call, you go to MTN or whatever. So, but you who's buying all those services, chichichotwara. Because if it has limited value, it means it cannot scale. The word scaling in business means that my costs are going down, my margins are going up, I am now profitable. Thank you very much. God bless you.
I'd like to hear from you. Please email us at info@tapmedia.com and visit our website at www.tapmedia.com. You can also visit our offices located at Tomosi Business Park, Luzira, Port Bell Road, or call 0414 220 702. Thank you.